I'm having a rather unexpected walk this morning. Ounce and I just decided to come out for a bit of a stroll, and it's a beautiful morning. It's quite early, it's not 9 o'clock yet, and I'm having a very slow week this week. I think last week's walk was quite a stretch for me, and I've not really been up to doing very much this week, and I've been wondering which walk to take this week, and I had thought of taking you down to the woods where I often walk by the River Ustwith, and yeah, until this morning I thought that's what I was going to do, but yeah, just feeling a bit too tired even for that this morning, so I thought I'd just come out for a walk and see if it felt like the right thing to do to record today's walk here. Such a beautiful view. I am so lucky. This is the view from one of the horizontal oak trees that I do often come and sit at. Ounce is with me somewhere. He's not far away. Oh, I need to stand up. Can we see him? No, we can't. I expect he will appear if we start to walk. I've managed to forget my microphone again. I hadn't really intended to make this my my weekly walk, my weekly video walk, but well, I'm here and I'm someone who quite likes to make use of what they're doing. Oh, there's Ounce, look. Hello, you gonna come with us? Come on then. Yes, let's go for a walk. So I thought, as I'm actually using this energy to come for a walk, I might as well also use it to chat to you. Gosh, Ounce is very vocal at the moment, aren't you? Go on. Oh, I've done the hardest part of this walk already, just getting to the horizontal oak, so it's a little bit of a climb, and I want to have a look. There's a crabapple tree just at the top of the hill up here, and I want to have a little look to see how it's doing. I've got a feeling I would normally pick the crab apples earlier on than this. Actually, it doesn't look like it's got very many on it at all, actually. Oh gosh. Come on. Ounce, come on. Yes. Ounce never used to be out very much, but just recently, the last few months, he's got to be very vocal. Hello, have you found your voice? Yes. Go on. So usually I collect crab apples from up here. There is another tree a little further down, and blackberries from not a single apple. Not a single apple. I wonder if that's the summer that's caused that. What do you think, Ounce? I usually collect a couple of bags full from here, and I make blackberry crabapple jelly. I do have one jar left from last year, so I shall just make the most of that and savour that this year. It's a lovely still day today, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear me okay. So I'm not sure I've taken you on this bit of the walk. I often do before. I think I've taken you on the second half when I'm actually walking down the hill. But this is a lovely spot. We had a lunar eclipse here a couple of years ago, 3 maybe, I'm not sure. And it was the first time I walked up this far. An Ounce came with us. We all came up and we watched the eclipse. And ever since then I've made it part of my walk. It's a nice It's a nice circular walk. I used to just walk up the hill and back down again. But it made it a lovely circular walk. Hello, sheep heading off. Oh, how many there are. Go on then, off you go. Oh, they keep coming. It's quite possible that Ounce will wait. Oh no, he's still coming. It's quite possible he'll wait until I get down the other side and join me again, but maybe he'll come, I don't know. What I've never done is walked down into the little valley here. It does look gorgeous, but by the time I get here I've done enough climbing. If I go down there I'm going to have to climb up again one way or another. Hello. Yes, come on then. You know the way from here, don't you? I am very surprised by that apple tree. I think this is the first year in 17 years that I haven't been able to gather some apples from that tree. That's rather a shame. It's been a very unusual year weather-wise though. In the garden I'm noticing that there's a fuchsia just coming out into bud now, which normally would have been budded, I don't know, a couple of months ago. There's a geranium on the table in the garden which is coming into flower. That's less unusual. They do tend to flower all year round, the geraniums. They work very well in the garden. We have lots of slugs and snails, and they don't eat geraniums. So here we are. This is one of my favourite spots. It's a lovely place to have a picnic. There's the oak trees. That makes things feel easier. Come on, Ounce. I didn't think he was going to join me this morning. He was asleep on the sofa, and I thought I'd be able to get out without him following me. Not that I really mind him following me, but I wasn't expecting him to. It's always a bit of a different walk with a cat. I don't like I'm sure he knows the way perfectly well from up here, but I'd much rather know that he'd followed me most of the way back home if he's followed me out. Obviously I'm an anxious cat parent. Come on. Well, I know that he comes up here by himself. He's been spotted in the night up here. Further as well. Oh, the sun just feels beautiful today. Just the right amount of heat. The air is warm. I thought today it would be good to get some washing on the line, but I don't think I'm going to. Come on. Come on. Gonna run down the hill. Come on, yes. I'm going to cannonball down the hill, no doubt. Well, I'm not going to cannonball, but I suspect Ounce will. Come on. chimney of my next door neighbour's house. Definitely time to start lighting fires. He was out chopping wood at the weekend. It's that time of year, getting ready to hunker down. Lots of fires and soup. Yesterday I had a very restful day. It was rather needed, and the one thing that I did do yesterday was make a large vat of soup. I made some stock. I have this habit of freezing all the offcuts of vegetables. Whenever I cook anything, I put the offcuts of the vegetables in the freezer. When I've got a big bag, I make some stock out of them, and I can make soup out of it. And yesterday I made a very thick stewy soup, and I actually made it in my slow cooker, which was really easy. So after I made the stock and I roasted a few other vegetables in the oven, I just put it all in the slow cooker with some there's Ants home, with some different beans and a few potatoes, and just left it there for 6 hours. And in the evening there was a big vat of soup for supper, and plenty left over for today. So today I can have a walk, use my energy for a walk, and not have to worry about anything else. At the moment it's very much about making choices like that. This is actually still quite a big use of energy. Might not have been the most sensible thing to do, but it has been lovely. It has been lovely to come out, and I don't need to do anything else today, so I won't. I think I shall enjoy the fact that there's soup to eat and a sofa to sit on, and maybe do a few rows of crocheting. I think probably the work session to go along with this walk I'll make tomorrow rather than today. So it would be lovely if you would join me for 20 minutes of whatever you're working on at the moment. I shall stop in a moment. I'm just going to get to the back gate of the garden. Just going to check these blackberries. Gosh, there are still some that aren't quite ripe here. I did have a little look down by the river a few days ago, and there really weren't any to pick. I'm not really sure that even these are going to... They might do, they might ripen, actually. I haven't done so well with blackberries this year again. Better than last year. And here I am back at my back gate at the very familiar view that you might well recognise. I often take this photo throughout the seasons. See how it changes. And here comes Ants. There we are, back home again. So there we are. That's this week's walk. A nice simple local walk to keep things gentle today. I hope that you've enjoyed a little stroll around my hillside, and do stay tuned if you'd like to spend 20 minutes working alongside me. I shall see you in my studio in a moment, but I think for me it'll be tomorrow. Thanks for watching. See you soon. I've almost finished my tea. That's not good. I'm really glad that I recorded the first half for the walk part of this podcast yesterday, because as you can probably hear, it's pouring down with rain today. Not a day for walking, a day for being cosy indoors. And I have been indoors quite a lot. I've been sitting on the sofa most of the day so far. Just had a little bit of a nap, and I thought I would come out and record the work session. Yeah. So would you like to join me for 20 minutes of something? I'm going to be working on my blanket again. Let's wind up the timer. There we go, 20 minutes. Good luck with whatever you're doing. I've got into a habit of leaving this hook out here. I don't always realise that I've done it, and this morning I woke up at I don't know, 5 o'clock probably, and I thought I'd do a bit of crocheting, and I realised I'd forgotten the hook.
So actually, I did a little bit of work on my purple socks, even though actually the light wasn't very good. I sort of got on all right with it, actually. So I'm wondering, as I seem to be leaving the hook out here, maybe it's a good idea just to leave the whole project out here. I think it was Kate who mentioned a couple of weeks ago that her mother, when she was knitting some blankets, had them in different locations. She was knitting two, like I am at the moment, and or crocheting two, and she just left them in different places. I'm not really someone who likes to be working on more than one thing at once, though I seem to be doing exactly that. So maybe there's something to be said for doing different things in different places. And my subconscious seems to be telling me that this is the place for this blanket. So we'll see. It feels a bit not exactly counterintuitive, but it feels like it's different to what I would normally do, because I am someone who likes to focus on one thing at a time. But I am noticing that sort of in this in-between time, I seem to be a bit more willing to let myself spread out a bit, particularly with things like reading, rather than be reading one book at a time. For a while, back in the spring and early summer, I had lots of books on the go, and I was dipping into them. I'm really enjoying that, and sort of getting things from all those different books. You know, sometimes you open a book at a page and it feels like the thing you're reading is exactly what you need to be reading or hearing, and I was getting that quite a lot in the summer, and it was helped by the fact that I was letting myself dip in and out of different books. One of the books that I was reading was, I think the title is Life in a Day. It's by Doris Grumbach, and it was basically, she was writing about a day, and she is someone who dips into books. So I wonder if actually reading about her doing it let me be more willing to let myself do it, actually, and to see the benefits of doing it. She has book stations, so she has piles of books. I'm sorry, this is this setup. There we are, that's better. I feel like I was a bit too in the middle of the screen. There we are, that's better. Yeah, she has stations for her books. So by her sofa, for instance, she has a pile of books, and on her kitchen table she has a pile of books. In the bathroom she has a pile of books. And yeah, she would just pick some up and she'd be reading them. And I think somehow, and it is interesting, that a conversation starts to happen across the books. So as a reader, it's possible for us to have a conversation, you know, obviously with an author, but isn't it interesting that that conversation can sort of spread out across different books? And at the moment, as well as reading books, I'm also listening to a lot of books as well. So no, I'm generally a serial listener. So I listen. Is that the right word? A linear listener. I do tend to listen to a book, audio book, until I finished it. Though actually I'm lying about that too, because I do tend to have two audio books on the go. I have a book that I know really well that I go to sleep with, and another book that I don't know, that I'm enjoying the story of, or the narrative of, or whatever. So actually, yeah. Maybe I'm just not the focused person that I think I am. I don't know what sort of person I am at the moment. Everything is so in the air, but there we are. That's okay. So I'm still listening to the 450 from Paddington, which is what I was telling you about last week. I haven't delved into the list of lovely books that people have been telling me about yet. Had lots of recommendations for sort of gentle whodunits. Though I suspect what I'm doing is waiting. There's a new book. I really enjoyed listening to the Lady Hardcastle series, and I'm not going to remember. I think is it T.E. Kinsley? I'm not sure what the author's name is. Sorry. Yeah, sorry to him. Not remembering. I'm sorry to you too. But there's a new one out on the 22nd of October. So maybe I'm waiting for that. And in the meantime, I've just downloaded Amanda Palmer's book. I'm not very good at this. I should be making notes, shouldn't I, to have these things ready to tell you. The Art of Asking, I think it's called. And I started listening to that this morning when I was awake early, working on my purple socks. I watched her TED talk years ago. It didn't really resonate with me for some reason. But I wonder if how I'm thinking about things has changed a lot in the last few years. I was talking to someone about her yesterday, and she actually recommended this book to me. And I did feel quite a lot of resistance to it when she mentioned it. But I downloaded it anyway, and actually, I must admit, I'm really enjoying listening to it so far. I might go back and watch the TED Talk again. In fact, let me make a note of that. I shall add a link below the video, so if you would, and below the audio podcast too, so if you would like to go and watch it, if you've not seen it already. And I'll also find out the name, I think, yeah, T. Kinsey sort of feels about right, of the Lady Hardcastle series. I can, yeah, if you want to check those out. But I'm still very open to hearing about book recommendations, or just the books that you're reading at the moment. When you're working, do you like to listen to books? Are you somebody who has more than one book on the go? Do you feel like you have conversations with the authors of the books you're reading? Of course, in this wonderfully connected world that we live in now, sometimes it's actually possible to really have conversations with the authors. I know that the thrill I got when I first got to talk to Danny Gregory, for instance, if you're a sketcher, you'll know Danny Gregory. I imagine quite a few people who watch this are members of Sketchbook School and know Danny Gregory well from there. But his book Everyday Matters, was a huge thing for me when I found it. It was about the same time that I was working. It was about the same time I was working through The Artist's Way, which I've talked about in an earlier one of these podcasts, and how that was a really important book for me. But Danny was learning to draw as he was making the book Everyday Matters. So the book contained a whole spectrum of his drawings, and I loved that. And he was incredibly approachable. I did contact him, and he actually sent me one of Dan Price's Moonlight Chronicles, and Dan Price is another one of my drawing heroes. I tend to really enjoy artists who draw their lives, who draw the sort of small things that are going on around them, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about Sketchbook School, is that it is about that. It's about seeing what's in front of us and recording it. So yeah, it was a real thrill for me when I actually got to write to Daddy Gregory and got a reply, but also years later also talking to him and being a small part of Sketchbook School. So yeah, actually really talking to the authors of books. But having said that, I do think the conversations we can have with authors and their ideas in our head is a very powerful thing. And I do wonder if Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking is going to be one of those books for me. Actually, I'm not very far into it yet. We will see. We will see. So I'd love to hear what you're reading at the moment. Fiction and non-fiction. Whodunits and not whodunits. I don't expect everybody has to be reading a cozy crime novel. Though I do enjoy them. My going to sleep book at the moment is The Return to the 100 Acre Woods. I think there have been a couple of books published that have sort of followed on from the Winnie the Pooh books. And The Return to the 100 Acre Woods was the first one of those. David Benedictus, I think, is the author. The second of the books, I can't remember the title of that, was actually written by different writers, which I thought was a really interesting thing to do. But this one, I think it's surprisingly good. I mean, the first time I read it, and I read it rather than listen to it the first time, I did wonder if there was a certain kind of core something that wasn't there, that was there in the originals, and maybe that's, you know, just to be expected. But actually, as I got to know it, and I feel like I've read it a few times and I've listened to it a few times now, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. So that's the book that I'm currently listening to as I go to sleep. So I'm not really hearing very much of it, because generally I turn it on, put my head on the pillow, and I'm asleep, which is good. Yeah. So they're my books at the moment. The 450 from Paddington, which is Agatha Christie. Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking. And David Benedictus, I think, The Return to the 100 Acre Wood. I am actually also dipping in to the Doris Grumbach book that I mentioned, A Life in a Day. Which I would highly recommend. I do love her books. She's still alive, I think, and she's about 100 now. And this book was written in the early 1990s, so she was in her early 70s, I think, or late 70s maybe. Actually, hang on, do those sums. Yes, presumably late 70s. And she lived life very slowly. She had lived quite a hectic life at one time. I think she used to live with her partner in Washington DC, and lived a very city life, I think, but moved to New Hampshire, I think. Certainly, yeah, I wouldn't absolutely swear it's New Hampshire, on the coast. And says actually in A Life in a Day that she just really didn't want to go anywhere. Everything she had was there. Everything she needed was there, which I think is a lovely thing if you can feel that. You haven't got to keep going chasing after something, but you can just enjoy where you are and what you're doing. which is something I hope that I can do. I have to admit there were times this week that I wasn't particularly enjoying the fact that I have to live slowly. I was feeling a bit sorry for myself at the beginning of the week. I think last week's walk was a big thing to do. I'm glad I did it, but it was quite an exhausting thing to do. All that up and down, all the up, really. And I do need to be careful about that. If I'm making these videos weekly and I'm going for a walk every week, I need to be careful what those walks are. I had intended this week to go down to the river and walk there because it's flat, and I think I mentioned before, I've got a choice of walks. So I can take a very gentle, short walk there, which is the walk I probably do most often there. But for some reason yesterday I found myself sitting at the horizontal oaks, and my plan was just to go there, actually, not to make a video or anything, but just to go there and have a think, have a ponder, because it was such a beautiful morning yesterday. It just felt like I really wanted to be outside. But Ounce followed me, and I thought maybe it would be good, maybe it would be nice to have a walk with him and to share that with you, as I was doing it anyway, as I was there anyway. I probably wouldn't have walked on if Ounce hadn't been with me, and I hadn't thought to have the walk with you. So I did do more than I would have done, but not more than I would have done necessarily all week. But that walk does have a bit of up in it. After I talked to you, well, actually getting to the horizontal oaks, there is a bit of a climb, so I'd already done that. But there's a bit more of a climb, which you saw me do, and then it is downhill from there. So I did do a bit of up, and I wonder if perhaps it wasn't the wisest thing. I don't know, we will see how the week pans out, the rest of the week. Have been very tired today. Often the ME tiredness is a few days after doing something, so we'll see. Anyway, it was lovely to be out in the autumn sun yesterday and to share that with you. But yes, if these are going to be regular weekly walks, and I want them to be, I do need to be a bit thoughtful about them. I wonder if I need to plan ahead a bit more, or think more about ways to keep them gentle if need be. I did say at the end of last week's video that it had suddenly occurred to me that I could go to where we walked last week, to the arch, but instead of doing that circular walk, I could just walk to the bench and back. And I think I'm going to do that. Take a flask of tea with me and do that. No, that's not 20 minutes, surely. These sessions go by so quickly when I'm talking, I'm sorry. Oh gosh. Actually, I have almost done a row of crocheting, so actually I'm just going to do one more stitch because I don't like to end this on. I'll put this down at the end of right at the end of a row. There we are, let's just check. Gosh, yes, no, it is 20 minutes. We really have been sitting here working together for 20 minutes. So, I think I'm going to fold this up and leave it here. Ooh, that feels a bit strange. Well, we'll just see. We'll see how that feels. I hope you've had a good 20 minutes. I'd love to hear, as always, what you're working on. Please do let me know below what you've been working on, and I shall be back next week. I have an inkling of what walk I'd like to do next week. We'll see what the weather's like. It is a very flat walk, which is a good thing. So that's probably a good one to aim for next week. Just see what the weather's like. And yeah. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, as always, I'd be really grateful if you'd hit the thumbs up below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on my website, there's a subscribe button. It's not a subscribe button, a subscribe link below the video if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube videos, or on the I'm not sure which side. In the sidebar, there's a link to subscribe to the email that goes out every time I post a podcast, either an audio or video podcast. So yeah, if you're on the website, if you're on the Go Gently website, you can subscribe there. If you're on YouTube and you haven't already subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. And yeah, do let me know in the comments what you've been up to this week, what you've been up to today in this session. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on conversations with authors, whether they're real conversations with an author or whether they're conversations that you have in your head around what they're talking about. Love to hear about those too. Take care. Thanks for watching. I shall be back next week and we can do this all over again.